More now on the Associated Press story published last week, reporting that a lawsuit will be filed claiming that Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio sexually abused an altar boy decades ago in Jersey City. The bishop is denying the accusation, saying, "I am just learning of this allegation. In my nearly 50-year ministry as a priest, I have never engaged in unlawful or inappropriate behavior, and I categorically deny this allegation. I am confident I will be fully vindicated." The attorney in that case, Mitchell Garabedian, is also involved in representing people in the Diocese of Buffalo. Bishop DiMarzio was selected by the Vatican to lead the apostolic visitation there to examine claims that Bishop Richard Malone failed to report sexual abuse. Garabedian also represents Siobhan O'Connor. She's the former secretary to Buffalo's Bishop Richard Malone and the whistleblower who leaked records from the diocese archives. She's been active in protest calling for Bishop Malone's resignation. At the same time, Garabedian is suing the Buffalo Diocese for $300 million on behalf of another woman who's claiming she was abused by a priest in the 70s and 80s. When the AP published the story of the accusation against Bishop DiMarzio last Wednesday, Garabedian said, "It is time for the police to investigate the investigator. The investigation should include questioning Pope Francis about his appointment of the bishop as investigator." That said, Garabedian hasn't even filed the lawsuit yet, so why would the Associated Press rush to publish the story? Joining us now is Michael Rizzo, the director of the journalism program at St. John's University. Michael, thank you so much for being with us.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much, Tamara.
Well, let's start by taking a look at the AP headline that says, "Bishop who investigated sex abuse accused of sex abuse." The story is solely based on an allegation the lawyer, who hasn't even gone to court yet, published. So did the AP jump the gun?
We live in a culture right now where people want their news and information fast. You want everything fast. News organizations do the same thing. They want to be able to report it fast and first. But every code of ethics for journalism reminds you speed can be dangerous. The most important thing is truth and accuracy. And I would add to that completeness, a thoroughness in your story. Have you added in all the perspectives from different sides to the story? I'm not sure if the AP had all the context and background that they could have included in this story when they first published it.
I want to take a look at another headline now, this time from the New York Times, and it says, "Bishop named by Pope to investigate abuse is accused himself." If you look at the Times story, they relied heavily on what the AP published. Why is this?
Well, again, we go back to code of ethics. They talk about original reporting counts for so much. Don't rely on the word of someone else, even if it's a fellow reporter or another news organization. I think what this calls for is, again, good follow-up journalism by other news organizations. I'm glad to see that there have been reports about the Diocese of Camden supporting Bishop DiMarzio. There have also been other stories where his denial has been forthfully reported. But what about information about the accuser or even the lawsuit? The Associated Press didn't have access to the lawsuit. The lawsuit isn't due to be filed until after December 1st, if it is filed at all. Then we can find out more. But why wait? Why not try to pursue the story as good investigative journalists can do to find out more now, since so much about this story is already out there?
I want to take a step back and look at reporting in general. If you're doing ethical reporting, which every journalist should do, what should the process have been in this case? And we're talking about the Associated Press, which is the gold standard of reporting.
Well, you want to get all stakeholders we talk about involved, all sides in the story. Are they well represented? Bishop's denial was put into every story that I read about this. At the same time, were there other perspectives that, again, could have been reported on? People who are supporting the bishop, other perspectives from other people who knew the bishop, who might have been around when this story happened. I don't see that a lot of those stories have been reported yet.
And you've mentioned context several times and the importance of context. So I want to point out some things that people have mentioned have not been included, and that includes that there was nothing about the whistleblower that Garabedian represents, nothing about his lawsuit against the Buffalo Diocese, and no background about Bishop DiMarzio's national leadership in protecting children from abuse. Shouldn't that reporting of that information been included? And what's the journalist's job in this? Why didn't the reporter, and the reporter's actually very famous, Michael Rezendes, ask these questions?
I don't know why he didn't ask it, but I think those are questions that people then raise. And that is something that journalism has to face, that we do need to, on every story that we do, check off everything that we need to do for that story.
And I want to include a quick note on that, which is that he is a highly respected journalist, and he led the investigation in the Boston Globe's sex abuse crisis back in 2002.
Right. He does have also a connection with Mr. Garabedian. Again, I think Michael is a very respected journalist, but we do need to, again, step back every now and then in everything that we do as a journalist and say, am I doing it all right every time? So this way people can believe in everything that I report on and know that I'm giving them all the information that they need.
And that's critical too, because when we take a step back and we look at this, without proper background and context, couldn't these types of allegations be hurled against anyone painting an improper picture?
We live in a world now where so many things are put out there about people from sources that we don't know about, information that we can't verify, but we trust the reporter that they're doing that job. Sensationalism counts a lot in today's media world to grab people's attention. But again, good journalism is you don't focus on the sensational, you focus on truth and accuracy and facts.
Michael Rizzo, the director of the journalism program at St. John's University, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
If you're watching Currents News on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then click on the bell to get instant updates about all of our newest content, because we are putting your faith in the news.